There is an invisible assassin living inside your home. It doesn't lurk in the shadows or hide behind locked doors. It waits patiently in the broad daylight of your living room, on the very first step of your staircase, and upon the smooth surface of your bathroom floor. It is a silent thief, stealing not your possessions, but your dignity, your freedom, and your fundamental right to govern your own life. Have you ever stood at the bottom of a simple flight of stairs, looked up, and felt a sudden, icy hesitation paralyze your legs? Have you ever paused in that breathless, quiet moment before lifting your foot, silently begging your knees to hold your weight just one more time? Or perhaps you have noticed that involuntary, muffled groan that escapes your lips when you try to push your own body weight up from the deep cushions of your favorite sofa. These are not just fleeting moments of temporary discomfort. They are the quiet, creeping whispers of a terrifying truth we all share but meticulously hide. The sheer, suffocating dread that our own bodies are slowly transforming into a prison. Senior Fine warmly welcomes you to our gathering today. If this unspoken fear resonates with the quiet corners of your mind, I urge you to subscribe to our channel right now. Your support is the very heartbeat that empowers us to continue uncovering these vital truths and to keep producing the meaningful videos you deserve. I must confess a deeply personal moment to you, a memory that still drags a cold, jagged fingernail down my spine whenever the house is too quiet. It happened on a remarkably unremarkable Tuesday afternoon. I was descending a staircase I had conquered 1,000 times before. My mind was miles away, wandering through the trivialities of an upcoming appointment. Then, I simply misjudged the final step. It was a microscopic miscalculation, a mere fraction of an inch in the vast, indifferent universe. But instead of solid wood, my foot plunged into empty, horrifying air. In that fractured second, a profound, primal panic detonated within my nervous system. I didn't just stumble. I plummeted into an abyss of my own physical vulnerability. My arms thrashed wildly, my fingers clawing at the empty space, desperate to anchor myself to anything real. By some divine stroke of sheer luck, my hand struck the polished wood of the handrail. My shoulder screamed as it wrenched, halting my fall mere millimeters before my kneecaps could shatter against the merciless hardwood below. I stood there, frozen for what felt like an agonizing eternity. My heart was a violent drum battering against my ribs, cold sweat stinging my hairline. I was physically safe, but the comforting illusion of my own physical invincibility lay in absolute ruin around my feet. In that gasping, breathless silence of recovery, a ghost from my past violently forced its way into my vision. I saw my mother. I saw her as she used to be, a vibrant, fiercely independent force of nature who commanded a household and walked miles without a second thought. And then, the memory brutally shifted to the aftermath of a single, damp bathroom tile. It wasn't a sensational tragedy like a high-speed collision. It was tragically mundane. A few drops of spilled water, a tiny slip, a fractured hip. In the blink of an eye, that microscopic moment of lost balance utterly eradicated her freedom entirely. I was forced to watch, entirely helpless and thoroughly devastated, as her expansive, beautiful world rapidly deteriorated. It shrank from a bustling neighborhood to the suffocating four walls of a bedroom, and finally, to the cruel, metallic confines of a wheelchair. Her physical decline was not a sudden, dramatic plunge off a cliff. It was a slow, agonizing, humiliating slide into dependency, all triggered by one solitary mistake. It was a stark, unforgiving revelation that gravity is a patient predator, and as the calendar pages turn, it merely waits in the shadows for us to slip just once. But look me in the eyes and hear the absolute truth I am carving into your reality today. Slipping, stumbling, and descending into frailty are not the mandatory taxes we must pay for the privilege of surviving another year. Frailty is not a biological destiny. Society has relentlessly brainwashed us into accepting physical decay as the natural, unquestionable final act of our play. We are fed toxic platitudes like, "Well, you're getting to that age," or, "What do you expect at your time of life?" I fundamentally and furiously reject that cowardly narrative, and I am asking you, pleading with you, to reject it alongside me right now. I am not here to cast judgment on your current physical state, nor to bury you under the guilt of exercises left undone. I am here to stand shoulder to shoulder with you in the trenches. Together, we are going to violently break free from this silent, invisible sentence of muscle atrophy. We are going to reclaim the untamed strength that is your birthright. We are going to rip up the script of your twilight years and rewrite it, transforming a tragic story of slow, painful surrender into a magnificent, roaring epic of resilience, unyielding stability, and absolute freedom. To effectively rewrite this tragic script of surrender, we must first rip the mask off the silent villain that has been systematically dismantling our foundation while we blindly trusted the passage of time. Medical textbooks coldly refer to this phenomenon as sarcopenia, but that sterile, clinical word completely fails to capture the profound devastation it leaves in its wake. Sarcopenia is not a disease you catch from a cough on a crowded bus. It is an invisible thief that sneaks into your home, uninvited and unnoticed, stealing the very fibers of your independence ounce by ounce. It begins its quiet heist long before you ever feel its effects, often in the shadow of your late 30s, slowly siphoning away your muscle mass and your physical power. Society, in its tragic ignorance, has taught us to simply shrug our shoulders and attribute this increasing weakness to just getting older. We laugh it off when we struggle to open a stubborn jar of preserves, or when a bag of groceries suddenly feels like it's filled with lead, secretly hiding the quiet alarm bells ringing in our heads. But I want you to understand the devastating mechanics of this theft. The muscles we lose first and fastest are not the ones built for endurance. They are the fast-twitch muscle fibers. These are the biological shock absorbers, the instantaneous reactors, the emergency brakes of the human body. When your foot catches on an uneven sidewalk, or when a wet leaf sends your heel skidding across the pavement, it is your fast-twitch fibers that must fire in a fraction of a millisecond to throw your leg forward, catch your weight, and save your life. When the invisible thief steals these specific fibers, it isn't just robbing you of the ability to lift heavy objects. It is methodically stripping away your biological safety net. I remember a period in my own life, years before that terrifying moment on the staircase, when I began to notice a strange, unfamiliar softness in my legs. I dismissed it as fatigue. I blamed the weather, my mattress, my shoes, anything but the terrifying reality that my body was quietly cannibalizing its own armor. This is the great deception we have all fallen for. We have conflated the natural passage of time with mandatory physical decay. We look at the frail, stooped figures of our elders and think we are peering into a crystal ball showing our unavoidable destiny. It breaks my heart to see how many vibrant, intelligent souls have willingly surrendered their physical sovereignty to this lie. They stop taking the stairs. They stop gardening. They stop walking on uneven trails because the fear of falling becomes a paralyzing dictator, governing every choice they make. Every time we avoid a physical challenge out of fear, we hand another piece of our territory over to the thief. The muscles, sensing they are no longer required to defend the fortress, quietly pack up and leave. It is a vicious, self-fulfilling prophecy where fear breeds inactivity, inactivity breeds weakness, and weakness breeds even greater fear. We must mourn the years we have lost to this deception, but we must not wallow in that grief. Realizing that you have been lied to is the first crucial step toward taking your power back. The profound, beautiful truth that the medical community is only just beginning to shout from the rooftops is that muscle tissue is remarkably, almost miraculously, forgiving. It does not care how old your birth certificate claims you are. It does not care how many years you have spent sitting in an office chair or resting on a sofa. Muscle is a highly adaptable, fiercely loyal tissue that is merely waiting for a command from its master. It is starving for the right signal, the right stimulus, to wake up from its forced hibernation and begin rebuilding the armor you thought was gone forever. Once you deeply internalize that this invisible thief thrives entirely on your physical complacency, you will realize that the only logical, self-respecting response is absolute, unapologetic rebellion. This is not a rebellion fought with violence or chaos. It is a quiet, intensely personal revolution fought in the sanctity of your own living room, using the weight of your own body as your primary weapon. To rebuild our armor, we must first tear down the intimidating, often toxic imagery that the fitness industry has shoved down our throats. When I say we need to build strength, I am not asking you to step into a chaotic, loud gymnasium filled with clanking iron and intimidating machinery. I am not asking you to become a marathon runner or a bodybuilder. That extreme narrative is exactly what keeps so many of us paralyzed, feeling as though the chasm between our current frailty and meaningful strength is simply too wide to cross. The revolution we are igniting today is rooted in the elegant, profound science of neuromuscular adaptation. You see, the weakness you feel in your legs when you stand up is not merely a lack of muscle tissue, it is a loss of communication. Over the years, as we demand less and less from our bodies, the neurological pathways that carry commands from our brain to our muscles become dusty, neglected roads. The brain essentially forgets how to recruit the muscle fibers effectively. Rebuilding your armor begins with clearing those pathways. It is about deeply intentional movement. When I first began my own journey of physical reclamation after my near fall, I felt utterly ridiculous. I stood in my kitchen, holding onto the countertop for dear life, and simply practiced shifting my weight from one leg to the other. It looked like nothing, but inside my body, it felt like a thunderstorm. My brain was desperately trying to forge new connections, commanding dormant stabilizing muscles in my hips and ankles to wake up and do their jobs. This process requires a profound shift in mindset. You must transition from viewing exercise as a tedious punishment for aging, to viewing it as a daily celebration of your autonomy. Every deliberate movement you make is a defiant message sent directly to your central nervous system, loudly declaring, "I am still here, and I still require this vessel to be strong." We have to embrace the concept of progressive resistance, which simply means asking your body to do just a tiny fraction more today than it did yesterday. It is the steady, relentless drip of water that eventually carves a Grand Canyon. I understand the profound mental barrier that stands in your way right now. There is a deeply ingrained, whispering fear that if you try to challenge your body, if you push against the boundaries of your current weakness, you might break. You might injure yourself and accelerate the very decline you are trying to prevent. That fear is valid. It is a protective instinct born from survival. But you must look that fear in the eye and negotiate with it. We do not challenge our bodies by leaping off cliffs. We challenge them by stepping off the curb with deep intention. We rebuild our armor not through reckless exertion, but through precise, controlled, and deeply focused effort. You will discover that as you begin to wake up these dormant muscles, a beautiful, undeniable warmth will return to your limbs. The shakiness that once plagued your knees will slowly be replaced by a dense, grounding solidity. This is the sensation of your nervous system knitting your strength back together, fiber by fiber, reminding you that you are not fragile glass waiting to be shattered, but a resilient, adaptable organism capable of profound regeneration. Transforming that quiet, mental rebellion into a roaring fire of physical stability requires us to master a few fundamental, life-saving movements, essentially turning the ordinary landscape of our everyday environment into a training ground for absolute freedom. We do not need complex equipment to build an arsenal of independence. Gravity and your own determination are the only tools required. I want you to completely erase the word exercise from your vocabulary for a moment. What we are doing here is practicing the mechanics of survival. Let us look at the simple act of standing up from a chair. In the fitness world, they call it a squat. But for us, in the real world where dignity matters, it is the fundamental right to rise from the dinner table, to stand up from the toilet, or to get out of a car without needing to ask for a helping hand. When you practice the chair stand, you are not just bending your knees. You are engaging in a fierce dialogue with gravity. You plant your feet firmly into the floor, feeling the connection through your heels. You hinge at your hips, keeping your chest proud, and you command the massive muscles of your thighs and glutes to fire. Initially, you may need to use your hands to press off the armrests, and there is no shame in that. But the goal, the relentless pursuit, is to eventually push the earth away with your legs alone. Every time you successfully stand, you are depositing a coin into the bank account of your future independence. I remember the exact day I could finally stand from my deep, unforgiving living room sofa without momentum, without groaning, and without using my hands. It wasn't a public victory, there were no trumpets playing, but inside my chest, I felt like a conquering monarch who had just reclaimed a stolen kingdom. Alongside the power to rise, we must cultivate the subtle, exquisite art of balance. Balance is not a static state. It is a dynamic, continuous negotiation between your brain, your eyes, your inner ear, and the thousands of tiny sensory receptors in the soles of your feet. To train this, we must deliberately introduce instability into our safe spaces. Standing near a sturdy wall or holding the back of a solid chair, practice lifting one foot just an inch off the ground. In that trembling, precarious moment of single-leg stance, your ankle will wobble, your calf will burn, and your hip will scream as it works frantically to keep you upright. Lean into that wobble. That trembling is not a sign of weakness. It is the physical manifestation of your nervous system learning, adapting, and growing stronger. It is the exact neurological pathway you will need to rely on when you slip on a wet tile or trip over a bunched-up rug. Furthermore, we must fortify our upper body, not for vanity, but for the crucial ability to push back against the world. A simple push-up performed against a wall or a sturdy kitchen counter is not about building broad shoulders. It is about cultivating the sudden, explosive pushing power required to brace yourself against a heavy, closing door, or the vital arm strength needed to break a fall if your balance ever does fail you. As you weave these purposeful movements into the fabric of your daily routine, doing calf raises while washing dishes, or wall pushes while waiting for the kettle to boil, you are no longer merely existing within your home. You are actively commanding your territory. You are transforming your physical vessel from a fragile liability into a capable, responsive ally. The heavy grocery bags will slowly become lighter. The steep staircases will transform from towering mountains of dread back into simple wooden steps. You are painstakingly forging a body that will not betray you when you need it most. As these daily acts of physical defiance begin to deeply fortify your body, a profound and glorious transformation will occur, echoing far beyond the newly minted density of your muscles and straight into the very fabric of your future. You will wake up one morning, and the world will suddenly feel entirely different. You will walk toward that same staircase that once paralyzed you with icy hesitation, and instead of fear, you will feel a quiet, undeniable authority radiating through your legs. You will place your foot on the first step, and the wood will feel solid beneath you, met by the equally solid, unwavering strength of your own body. This is the moment when you truly realize that you have not just rehabilitated your muscles, you have successfully rehabilitated your spirit. You have fundamentally altered the trajectory of your aging process. This journey we have embarked upon is not merely about extending the length of your life. Adding decades to your timeline means absolutely nothing if those extra years are spent trapped in a state of fragile dependency, watching life happen through a window pane. What we are fiercely fighting for is the expansion of your health span, the years you remain vibrant, active, and capable of fully participating in the magnificent human experience. Imagine the unbridled joy of getting down on the floor to play with your grandchildren, entirely confident in your ability to get back up again. Envision yourself booking that trip you've been putting off, walking through cobblestone streets of foreign cities without constantly staring at the ground in terror of a misplaced step. Picture yourself tending to your garden, kneeling in the soil, completely immersed in the beauty of the present moment, unburdened by the nagging anxiety of physical limitation. This expansive, beautiful, independent life is not a fantasy reserved for a lucky few. It is a tangible reality that is waiting for you to boldly claim it. But it requires your participation today. It requires you to stop listening to the cowardly narrative of inevitable decline and start listening to the dormant power sleeping within your own bones. You hold the pen to the remaining chapters of your life. Do not let gravity, fear, or a dismissive society write your ending for you. You are a profoundly resilient creature, carrying the legacy of ancestors who survived the harshest conditions this planet has to offer. That exact same survival instinct, that exact same capacity for strength, is flowing through your veins right now. I implore you, as you turn off this video and step back into your day, do not leave this mindset behind. Let today be the profound turning point, the remarkably unremarkable Tuesday where you decided to stop falling and start rising. Stand up from your chair with intention. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Acknowledge your vulnerability, but absolutely refuse to be defined by it. We are walking this path together, shoulder to shoulder, leaving a trail of shattered myths and reclaimed independence in our wake. Your body is your home, your fortress, and your lifelong companion. It is time to reinforce the walls, throw open the doors, and step out into the sunlight with the unshakable confidence of someone who has stared down the phantom on the stairs and won. Thank you for sharing this vital space with me today. Now, go out there and fiercely reclaim your freedom. In conclusion, the narrative of inevitable physical decline as we age is a dangerous myth that steals our independence, but it is a myth we possess the absolute power to shatter. The invisible thief known as sarcopenia feeds on our fear and complacency, quietly dismantling our physical armor while we mistakenly attribute our growing weakness to the mere passage of time. However, the profound truth is that our muscle tissue remains remarkably adaptable and fiercely loyal, constantly waiting for the neurological signal to rebuild and fortify. By transforming our mindset and recognizing that our bodies are not fragile glass, we can turn our everyday environment into a training ground for survival and freedom. Simple, deeply intentional movements, like rising from a chair without using our hands, deliberately practicing balance, and engaging in progressive resistance, are powerful acts of rebellion against physical decay. This journey is not about vanity or extreme athleticism. It is about extending our health span and actively reclaiming the right to move through the world with authority and grace. Ultimately, fortifying our physical vessel rehabilitates our spirit, allowing us to step out of the shadows of fear and into a vibrant, independent future. You hold the pen to your story. It is time to write a final chapter defined by resilience, autonomy, and unshakable strength. Physical decline is not an inevitable consequence of aging, it is the result of surrendered physical sovereignty. True strength is not about gym aesthetics, but about preserving the fundamental mechanics of human independence. Our bodies do not naturally expire. They constantly adapt to the demands we place, or fail to place, upon them. Stop viewing exercise as a structured, exhausting punishment. Instead, transform your daily routine into a continuous opportunity for neuromuscular connection. When you stand up from the sofa or dinner table, do it purposefully, plant your feet, engage your core, and try to push up using only your legs without relying on your hands. When you brush your teeth or wash dishes, practice balancing on one leg for a few seconds to strengthen your stabilizing muscles. Demand a little more from your body every day, leaning into the temporary discomfort and wobbles. knowing that each intentional movement is a direct deposit into your future independence. What is one simple daily movement or activity, like gardening, climbing stairs, or playing with grandchildren, that you are going to start practicing with more intention today? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Your perspective is incredibly valuable and might just be the exact inspiration someone else needs to read today. If you found value in this message and want to support the channel, please hit that subscribe button so we have the motivation to continue creating more empowering content for you.